Ironically, this is exactly how it used to go when I used to record 20 years ago for podcasts. 30 minutes of, we probably should have been recording some of this for content. Yeah. However, we failed. That's well done. I don't know how to introduce myself anymore.
No, I hate it. It sucks, doesn't it? I'm so glad I don't have to do this.
So, yes, hello, everybody. I'm Matthew-Harriet Randall. I am the CEO of Racing Pride.
That's so exciting.
Very exciting, very exciting. And I think it's definitely one of those things where I start introducing myself differently every single time I do one of these type of activities.
Yeah.
I think for a really long time, running out as, head of software development at Aston Martin Lagonda, that was it for like 2 years. So I could rattle that off. Now, it hits different.
Yeah. There's like a few more things you're adding on.
Yeah, I don't have to try and be specific on what it is, because some people probably don't care about the Aston Martin side, and some people care about the Racing Pride side, and some people probably don't care about the Racing Pride side.
That's so weird. I mean, I'm here to talk about both.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, this the fortunate thing of Aston Martin and Racing Pride is that there is a lot of cross-contamination. And, Aston Martin is a cool brand and has some cool cars.
Oh, yeah. I love Aston Martin cars. They're so pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I've loved them ever since I was 11, I think. And I drove a friend's mother's DB7. I say drove, in the driveway.
Yeah.
Forward and backwards. But,
drove still with some finger quotes there.
Yeah, big finger quotes, and I'm pretty sure I didn't touch the pedals because I couldn't reach them.
I mean, since we're on the topic, how did you get into Aston Martin?
Luck,
really?
As things always seem to turn out these ways. Yeah, my godfather's son had a job at Aston Martin, and I was very much out of university, as so many people are, going, I need some money.
Yeah.
Tried applying for everywhere. Normal situation of these sort of situations. It really kind of goes to show you do need to, apply to a lot of places to eventually hit somewhere.
Yeah, even though it's painful.
Very, very painful. With it, you don't have enough experience. Well, yeah, because I've just come out of university. Of course, I don't have enough experience yet. Fortunately, there was a job going in Aston Martin in engineering services, which is kind of a role that is a really difficult one to explain, and one, if you don't work in the industry, you really don't understand. Because at the time, effectively, the job was running around with pieces of paper and getting people to sign it. Effectively.
Okay.
But in actuality, what it was getting sign-offs for changes for parts to go onto vehicles. Doing checks of what the engineers put in and make sure it's correct through each of the areas, from legislation through logistics and all those sort of like functions, and then get them released so they can get fitted into a car.
So go to everybody's offices, say, are you happy with this part? Sign this thing.
Yeah, and back 20 years ago, that was literally a piece of paper. I got a lot of steps in back then. Now it's a lot more electronic.
Yeah.
But back then it was, attempting and trying to explain, you're walking around everywhere to do sign off is funny. And while I was doing that, there was actually a new release from model year change. And at the time I was looking after body and white and chassis, which is like the core, obviously, component of the car.
Yeah.
And I got given everything to release the brand new model, which was this lever arch file of about 900 lines, which in of itself, the sign-off was fine because it's but I had to go through line by line, each part, to make sure everything was filled out correctly. Then, as it was back then, duplicate all that back out again into a computer system. Yeah. A lot of double typing, rechecking through, retyping it back into the system.
Oh, that's painful. Oh, that's so painful.
Very, very, very painful. Like I say, things have modernized since then.
Yeah.
And a lot more of that is now electronic and automated, which very much goes on to the role that I effectively occupy now, which is in software development, which is actually what I always wanted to do. So very, very fortunate.
Hey.
Because I was effectively doing it as maternity cover in Aston Martin to begin with.
Really?
And yeah, pure maternity cover, like, let's get some money. Obviously, for a great company, so I'm not going to complain too much.
Yeah.
But I was way too honest, which I think is my normal state of being. Even during my interview, I said to the people interviewing me, I don't want to do this. What I'm really interested in doing is working in software development.
Yeah.
Yes. But my boss at the time knew the fact that I wanted to do that, and that's where my passion was. And a role came up in IT on the back end of my tenure in IT as a junior developer, and told and applied me for it effectively. I then got it.
Yeah.
17 years later, I'm still there. And I've gone through from junior developer all the way up to head of software development. So, being truthful comes out quid sometimes.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think I would have the courage to sit in an interview and go, I'll be honest, I don't actually want to do this. But look at where it's got you. That is incredible. Also, congratulations for that courage, because oh my gosh, how?
Take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, very jarring for a lot of English people and British people as a whole that are very polite backwards and forwards. They'll grandstand for a bit. Yeah. And I think that understanding of how everybody is slightly different is really important, because there can be so much misunderstanding based on how you portray yourself.
Okay, yeah.
If the other person can't understand that, and if you can go, oh, I know why you're potentially trying to do that, you can hit it off a lot better than potential friction that may happen, which is often where, unfortunately, in today's world of online, often gets misrepresented, because text is very, very easily to be misconstrued.
Yeah, that's fair. It makes a lot of sense. So have you travelled with your job then?
I have been very lucky in the last couple of years where I have managed to go to Japan, China, and America as part of my job. Which,
where would you recommend?
Honestly, for me, I love Japan. I wanted to go to Japan for my 10th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, COVID happened. Like 2 weeks after lockdown is when our flights were booked.
No.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. So me and my wife have not gone back. I have for 3 nights.
Oh my gosh.
With work, yeah. Which is insane. Yeah. Because it's like a 17, 19-hour flight.
Ew.
Yeah, and then you're there for 3 nights.
How did you survive that?
Energy drinks. And the final evening, because I drank way too much. Like, I think the second night I was there, because I was just trying things.
Yeah.
Right. And it was no intention to get drunk. So I don't normally drink at all. Yeah. So I think that probably was also not a good sign then. And then the final night I was like, I'm not going to. We're going to fly the next day. But I was like, you know what? Our flight is like 6 a.m. I'm not going to go to sleep.
I'm sorry.
I was not going to go to sleep. There's no point. 6 a.m. Right. So there was a party the night before where Aston Martin were launching one of our cars.
Yeah.
And that was going to go on until about midnight. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to get a taxi in like 5 hours. I might as well stay up. A bunch of the people from the party ended up going out to I will say, bar. It's more of an underground bar, or what it ended up being, which was absolutely fascinating. It was so good.
Yeah.
Because it was quite a lived experience. And then after that, get some alcohol outside of Combini, a 7-Eleven.
Oh my gosh.
At like 3:30, 4 a.m. And I'm there completely sober as well, because I'm like, I'm not drinking this time. So everybody else around me is drunk, and I'm there getting like juice.
Oh my gosh. I actually can't believe you managed that sober.
Oh yeah, no, I have no qualms with making myself an absolute idiot. I was teetotal through the entirety of my university.
Yes.
And I had no problems being the first person on the dance floor. One story I always liked telling from my teetotal days is I was feeling a bit under the weather when we went out to a club. And I was like, I'm feeling really rough. I wonder if they have some tea. This is like 1 a.m., right, in a club. And I'm like, I want some tea, please. They're like, the bar staff like, huh? What? I'm like, do you not have anything like that? He's like, I don't know. Let me go and check. And he went to his managers and he came back going, we can do something. And I don't know what they did and where they found this stuff. It must have been from the office because he came back with a tray with actual china.
What?
With a teapot and glass. And I take this back over to my high table because it's in the club.
Yeah.
Put that down. And everyone's like, just like looking at me going, what?
I love the idea of just this like china tea set on a really sticky club table. I mean, was it a good cup of tea?
I mean, it felt great when I was feeling under the weather. It really was.
Oh, so where did you go to uni?
Manchester. My university, the reason I went there was I did aeronautical engineering.
Oh, that's cool.
As a degree, which was really, really interesting. And it's what was a big part of my passion for a long time through my youth is general engineering, especially planes. And the course that they did at the time was very hands-on.
Okay.
And it was the main reason it was my main choice to go there. The way that they did it at the time was that every 6 weeks you basically had a new project to do. And they would break up the year into teams of 6 to 12 that would then each person would be a project manager, business analyst, engineer, and do all those sort of things. So you'd actually do a proper mini work.
Yeah, that is so cool. Question, did you build a plane?
No, hovercraft.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Not a plane. I mean, I don't think you could build a plane in 6 weeks. That would be a little bit too tricky. But a hovercraft.
Did it work? That's not meant to sound offensive.
No. Most people's did. Ours. So unfortunately, it was my design. This one.
No.
We won the award for the most innovative.
Okay. Well, you know what?
Which was basically a backhanded compliment of, it was never going to work, but it was really, really cool.
You tried it. Congrats.
It was this really over the top engineers, kind of octopus thing with a fan above.
Oh my god.
That then basically had air currents going to the skirting from above that was then being able to power forward in different momentums. Unfortunately, what I hadn't and what the team hadn't calculated was the amount of air flow and the amount of energy being put into those things. So basically, it didn't have enough power to do everything.
Oh, you know what? You can tell I'm not an engineer because what I'm picturing right now is one of those massive Zorb balls that you stand in with a big fan on top, just resting there, and then some sort of rubber thingies on the bottom that just inflate. And when yeah,
it's kind of similar to that. I think I'd probably watched too much Spider-Man beforehand or something. I don't know. When I came up with that, I was like, what's the best way of getting it to evenly distribute?
Yeah,
and then go. That was the thought process. But
that's going to be difficult.
And that was it. This was my first year as well, so I was all this sort of stuff. But it was cool. But in the end, technically worked, but was very, very slow.
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day. So how did you get from planes to Aston Martin and to cars? Is it the aerodynamics kind of side of things?
Honestly, it was the route of me wanting to get into IT.
Yeah.
Two things that I've always been really interested in, or three things I've really been interested in. And it just so happens that I'm now in a position that it's kind of all culminated into the same thing. First thing was always planes. My very first word was Concorde.
No, so it was not.
It was. I mean, it was Concorde, not Concorde. But yes, my very first word was Concorde.
That's incredible.
That gives you an idea of how much I enjoy planes. But yeah, no, that and then IT was another big passion of mine. But my schooling never did any IT.
Well, I'm sorry.
So bearing in mind for the audience, I am 40 this year.
I don't believe you, but yeah.
Is at the time, the only thing that we basically had was how to build PowerPoint presentations was basically it. So everything else I kind of did in my own time. I grew up on the days of building up a BBC micro computer. For anybody on your audience that might know what one of those is.
I do not.
I didn't expect you to. Didn't expect you can look it up later.
I am going to, yes.
So that was my very first, and then I went into Acorn computers again.
I'm sorry,
it does not exist anymore. I don't think. Actually, I think it still does technically in the scientific world. But yes, Acorn computers. Yeah, primary school building up their IT lab, and that was great fun. But that was Windows 98 eventually.
Oh my gosh!
And it was across like 23 floppy disks or something, or 37 floppy disks.
What?
Yeah, which was great fun, because if you got to the penultimate floppy disk and it said error, you had to start again.
What? You have to start again?
Yeah.
But how do you plug that many in at once?
You don't. You have to go one at a time.
No.
Yeah.
No. Why? After growing up with computers like that, would you go, oh yeah, I want to do this for a living?
I think it was the age of a lot of people wanting to do those sort of things though, because you had to build your own machine a lot better and understand how it worked to make it optimized. Nowadays, you don't have to do that too much. You just everything's plug and play.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a level of engineering mindset is important with those sort of things. So it's really interesting how those three things have become a big part of my job.
Yeah.
But effectively during university, there was some IT, some development work in a program called MATLAB, which is generally used for simulations.
Okay, cool.
So
you would have been able to see that the hovercraft Zorb ball wouldn't work.
Correct. However, that was the second year, so yeah.
No.
But yeah, I already knew how to do some of the items, and it was really came home when there's 150 students in my year, and there was basically two answers everybody came up with, mine and somebody else's.
Oh my god!
Because effectively, nobody else could work out how to do it, and they copied everybody else's.
Nice.
Nice. Very, very standard.
Yeah.
And then I ended up working during that summer holidays at an IT firm.
Okay.
What sounds like a very, very boring IT firm. They built software for councils.
Oh wow!
That basically did road performance calculations. You know, the black strips that you drive over?
Yeah.
Yeah, we built the software that did the calculations and analysis off of that.
Okay, no, that is kind of cool, because I have always wondered what kind of data comes off of those when I drive over them. I'm always like, do they know if I'm speeding?
Yeah.
What? That's so weird.
Yeah, so we did all those calculations like that. And the entire summer, I basically rebuilt their CRM system, which is their customer relationship management system, effectively a glorified address book at the time.
Yeah.
So that's what allowed me to get into that.
I mean, fair, but what got you into F1? Because you said that you've always loved F1. Is it like a family thing?
I think for myself, planes was a family thing. My grandfather was a big plane person. He flew Lancaster bombers.
Oh no, that's so cool.
For a time. And then he was a mechanic for the AA.
Huh.
So very much that sort of mindset, and he really enjoyed those type of activities. That then led me into looking up some Formula One type activities. My dad watched Formula One, and I remember he was a big supporter at the time, but it was very much a watching the background sort of thing. But I was there watching it in the reverse. And of course, for me at the time, and it still is very much the case, but of course, a Formula One car is basically a plane upside down. Whenever you hear on a racetrack or a commentator talk about downforce, right, that is the reverse of what lift is in a plane. So what causes a plane to go up is the same thing as what causes a road car to go down.
Okay, yeah. Physics is coming back to me so much right now. But yeah.
So it's very fundamentally similar. And my very first year at university, I was part of the Formula Student.
Oh, I did that. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know. No, I'm not going to say that.
Is that old?
I didn't know I was going for that long. I'm sorry.
To be fair, so it wasn't that much previously. It has been around for about 30 years now, I think.
Oh my gosh, I thought I was like 5 years old when I did it, and that was like 7 years ago.
No, it's been around a lot longer than that. It has evolved a lot since then. And it was really interesting. So Racing Pride for the past few years has actually sponsored an award for diversity at Formula Student.
Oh, that's so good.
Is fantastic alongside Aston Martin. And it's interesting to see how those things kind of came in. Yeah. And I gave the award this year round.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It was really cool. It was really nice seeing how things have developed over time. And it's what I mentioned in my speech, like, back when I was in Formula Student 20 years ago. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure several of the students also probably thought the same thing as you did. Like, going, A, hang on, are you that old? B, really?
So tell us a little bit about how you got involved in it.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think similar to everything in my life, everything just seems to just happen randomly. What's really nice, it was kind of organic in a way, is Racing Pride started partnering with Aston Martin. And at the time, I hadn't heard of Racing Pride or what it was that they did. And we had a visit from one of the co-founders and one of the ambassadors at the time, to basically give a talk to all of the senior staff on how to be a better ally, how to be a better person for anybody that might be LGBTQ plus in their teams. And at the time, I wasn't out to anybody at work at all, and it was a relatively painful experience for me to a degree, because it was the very first time anything like this had been done. So as you'd expect in a place that is generally very male dominated, it had that kind of like pushback, which is why it needed to happen. And I remember when, after the talk, obviously I felt really empowered by it. It was absolutely fantastic. I went up to talk to Sarah and Richard, who had done the talk, about how some of their experiences very much overlapped with mine to a degree, and they don't remember me talking about this is like I think it was back in 20, I can't remember if it was 21 and 22 that this happened. But what this came about was we were trying to run a wider inclusion group, like an employee resource group in Aston Martin. I started trying to create one myself as well within our internal IT department, basically off of the back of a survey that was done. Regular employee survey type thing, but it really kind of like brought home the need to have something, especially down on the production line and things like that, where, you know, it was that very male dominated area where I wanted to make sure that people who had mental health issues had a bigger voice and had more help. You know, more people and women were able to get to the positions they want to, and be able to bring them into the company as well. At the time, it was very much, I was not looking at it from an LGBTQ plus perspective at all. I was very much looking at it from a wider health perspective. And it's something that I've always tried to push naturally through my career. I've been very fortunate that most people in my team have been very open-minded. And that effectively led to me being part of our internal inclusion network, doing a little bit more with Racing Pride.
Yeah.
Here and there through different times. What we ended up doing inside Aston Martin is initially we had just one big massive inclusion group. We then split that out into 5 sub-strands with a wider person and chair looking after the entire lot to make sure everything was cohesive.
Yeah.
And I think this is the big bit that companies often overlook, is that they have the separate ERGs, but they don't have that person or people to oversee it, to make sure that they bring everything together, because there's so many things that other people can learn from each other, and you can take off other people's ideas as well. So what we basically looked at doing was we set up the 5 strands. So one on health and well-being, one on disabilities, LGBTQ plus was one of them, race and ethnicity, and gender.
Okay.
At the time, what I ended up trying to go for was a chair of the gender strand.
Okay.
It was effectively a voted in thing. I did not get it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Which I was like, yeah, okay, well, there you go. There you go. But obviously, I was still very much wanting to get involved and pushing those sort of activities. Fortunately, one of the members of my team ended up being a co-chair of the gender strand. And ironically, considering what it is that we're doing here, which is recording on a podcast, we were looking at doing some form of outreach into the company around mental health. It goes back to what I was saying previously, which is really what I wanted to really focus on.
Yeah.
And health as a whole. So the disability strand, we're looking at setting up a fireside chat, an online recorded session.
Yeah.
And I foolishly said, I've done a podcast back in
famous last
many decades ago. I could host it.
Yeah.
It's an area that I'm really passionate about, and I understand the wider perspective.
Yeah.
And we got 4 people that were absolutely fantastic for this.
Yeah.
So we had somebody who was neurodivergent.
Yeah.
We had somebody who is medically blind.
Okay. Yeah.
We had somebody with endometriosis.
Oh, speaking of someone with endo, that sucks.
They're also neurodivergent as well.
Love
but the idea was that they were there for that. So, who was also the chair of the strand.
Yeah.
And also somebody whose child had physical disabilities.
Ah.
So a really nice wide spectrum set of people on there. And it was a fantastic panel. I think it was about an hour and 20 minutes.
That's good.
Towards the back end of it. And it really opened up people's mind on the wider aspects of people who you know, but you don't necessarily know.
Yeah.
The difficulties that people go through that is often overlooked. You know, there's so many times that you hear about people having a bad day. But that could be because of X, Y, and Z. You don't know. It's one of the reasons why I'm always a big advocate. Don't jump at somebody when you don't necessarily know what they potentially be going through. Yeah. Whereabouts they may be feeling hurt. You may be struggling as well, but the person you're talking to might well do as well.
Yeah.
And the person with the child had been at the company like 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And probably 90% of the people that he interacted with had no idea. So it was a really powerful messaging around the whole area. It was really good. And that was my undoing. Which meant that every other thing from that point on, I became the host of.
Oh my god!
Basically, everything, any single person, they watch that and like, oh, we know the exact person to do this.
We have a host.
We know the exact person we got a host for this. So I ended up doing various different things around the Inclusion Network. But one of the things that ended up being covered was a talk with Racing Pride. And that was Aston Martin Formula One's partner talk around Pride.
Okay.
So I was brought in specifically as part of Aston Martin Lagonda's inclusion group. We also had somebody from the inclusion group side of Aston Martin Formula One.
Yeah.
And different people from partner groups as well. So like Cognizant were there, Citibank, and we had great conversation and things like that. During around the same sort of time, Accelerate Pride, which is a yearly event that Racing Pride put on for basically their partners and member community. Yeah. Kind of a conference, but also a get-together. The inclusion group, the wider chair of the inclusion group, ended up handing in their resignation at Aston Martin, basically a week before that was happening. And they were going to be on the panel.
Oh, my God.
That I ended up being on because of the fact that I was still there. And people knew that I had the ability to, talk. From then, I then have done various different other things with Racing Pride. I've been a member of Racing Pride as a community in the community from long before then as well. And then just over a year ago, there was opportunity to become a non-executive director.
Yeah.
At the time, I was very umming and ahhing.
Really?
It took me about a month to apply. Work at the time was really busy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to go half-cocked into something that I can't give my all.
I mean, that's fair, yeah.
Fortunately, work started to calm down. I got interviewed and was way too honest.
Of course.
And a big part of what I said, basically, as part of my interview with Racing Pride was what I wanted Racing Pride to be was more than either one person or two people. Which obviously all startups eventually do so, but then you kind of semi fall into a trap on I can't rely on these people because I've always done it myself, etc.
Yeah,
and I think they knew that as well, right? They need to be able to palm off different things for different people.
Yeah, that's how it grows.
And that's how it grows. You also need to have those different thought process, there's different insights from various different people, because otherwise you're just talking to an echo chamber, and there's only so many times that you can tell the same story.
Yeah.
And eventually that'd be the same as me. You get to the point of everybody's heard it. It's the same people coming to the same thing. You need to have those areas. And it's the reason why Racing Pride has community champions, which you yourself are one of them.
On a slight side note, I wanted to bring this in. I am so proud to be a Racing Pride community champion. I saw Racing Pride, I think it was a touring cars a few years ago when I was marshalling, and I'd literally looked across the track and saw the gazebo and went, I'm sorry, I want to go see what that is. And I never got a chance to because we didn't get a long enough lunch break, as is so normal for a marshal at Donington. So I'm so happy that I can actually be involved in it, and I feel so honoured. And that is my rant over, and I will let you continue talking now.
No, I think it's really important as part of the wider story of all this is that somebody like yourself and I imagine a lot of the listeners to this being marshals, it's one of those things that is often overlooked.
Yeah,
is the wider aspects of motorsport from everything. Everything is different people and people that make it up. So having those different viewpoints and different thought processes, the LGBTQ community in of itself is very wide and very broad. Anyway, let alone adding, racing into that as well on various different careers.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go into and look on TV, go, oh yeah, you've got your core engineers, you've got your principals, you have your race car drivers, and overlook so much of that, and you get so many different viewpoints on what that means to you, and without every single piece, what so many people love watching can't happen.
It's so important.
So getting those stories from different people in is so important to your influencers, to your marshals, to your drivers, to your engineers, to your IT personnel. One of the things that we do at Aston Martin is we teach our values. Yeah. And when you walk into our factory, there is a fantastic wording, literally as you walk in through the door, saying, nobody builds an Aston Martin on their own.
Oh, I love that.
And it's so true. Yes, a person, I am sure, is intelligent enough to literally put together and assemble a car.
Yeah.
However, as an organization, that can't happen. You need to have your salespeople. You need to have your IT people. You need to have your parts people. You need to have your mechanics. You need to have your finance people.
It's
and that's
a
the same with
community.
everything else. It is everything of those things allows those vehicles to go out the door. Same thing as what happens on a race weekend.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always say to everybody when I run the course, especially when I talk about unity, which is one of our values, is who in the room knows the name of a cleaner, receptionist, or canteen person. Without those people, the company wouldn't work. One of the things that, in fact, this happened to me literally yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
I had somebody come in yesterday, and it's a regular occurrence, but somebody came in yesterday, and the first thing they saw when they went to the factory, go, "This is so clean." And without those people, without somebody picking up potentially an oil spill, whatever situation that may happen, the line then stops.
Yeah.
Which then stops vehicles going out of line. Because we work effectively in a completely middle of nowhere, canteen staff is necessary to get you through the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah.
And so many people kind of just they get pigeonholed in those little areas of what you expect. I went to a school a couple of years ago now. This was, I've been back to school a couple of times since, but it was students about to pick their GCSEs.
Yeah.
And what was really interesting, I followed somebody that was working in the Football Association, and we had a very similar tax on what we were going to talk about, which was, do you know what sort of roles exist within the space?
Yeah.
And the Football Association was like, footballers, groundskeepers, but didn't think about, finance people, all of those other things that allow that to work. And it is so important from a viewpoint on every aspect, because no single person is a single thing.
Yeah. It takes a community to build a car, and I love that. There's so much you can learn from everybody.
It's the same on a race weekend as well, right? You helped us out at the British Grand Prix this year.
Oh, that was so fun.
And all the people that are there visiting during a weekend that are so happy coming into the races. You want everybody to have that level of happiness coming in, no matter who they are, and being able to drive that in, from the vendors to the little help desk to the mini games and things like that, as well as the marshals out on track in the rain. I mean, it's very apt considering this British Grand Prix this year was glorious sunshine for 3 days, and then absolute
one day
rain came down on the race day. It made it very interesting.
I was looking out the window and I was looking at the weather forecast and learning, like, all my friends are going to be soaked.
And so, I mean, it's nice as well nowadays, the amount of times that I hear on the broadcast people talking about the marshals and things like that.
Yeah.
But not too long ago, that sort of thing would have very much been passed over.
Yeah, it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. And I think all of these sort of conversations, and this loops back to what we do with Racing Pride, is trying to add a personal connection to people and to stories and to racing, to say, yes, you can be who you are and still enjoy the sport.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I always find the best when helping out and having either a stand or being at an event is when somebody that has never seen us before, had never heard of us before, similar to me back in 2021, 2022, listening to Rich and Sarah, going, I feel that I can be myself, or I feel that my kids can be themselves around here, where previously they may not have been felt that way.
It's exactly like when I saw that tent across the track, I looked at it and went, I'm safe. There are other people like me. There's other people that mean I'm not alone in this. I'm part of a community and part of a wider community, and I can be myself in that. And there will be people there that are like me. And it was just such a profound moment. I remember standing on the pit wall just staring. It was such a profound moment that I realised, actually, I can be myself here, and it's safe.
And that's it. It is that level. And then even just a level of joy or things like that. I think one of my favourite situations from one of the events this year, and just because it was such a passing comment, they literally basically did a walk past of the stand. But they walked past, looks over, did a double take, stepped back, looked back over, put their arms up, went, "Yay, gay stuff," and then walked off. It was great.
Yay, gay stuff. That is brilliant. I love it. Whoever that person is, thank you.
Yeah, and it's stuff like that makes us realise what we're doing is important, and it's the same thing as I'm sure from a marshal's perspective now, when they hear the commentator point out to the work that you guys are doing, is going, yeah, this is the reason why, and then going, yes, I've managed to make this safe, or managed to make, the race continue. Every single part of every single thing that we do has some form of cog, some part of the machine that allows it to piece itself all together, so we can enjoy it.
Yeah. Speaking of, your cog is now slightly bigger in Racing Pride, as you've just been promoted to CEO.
Yes, I am now CEO.
Congratulations, first off the bat.
Thank you.
Second off, how? I'm not doubting you or anything. I'm just
I would.
How?
I would.
When something comes out of your mouth, you're like, that is not how I intended that to sound.
No, I would for sure.
What happened?
I think it goes back to exactly what I was saying, which is you need to have that continued growth in an organisation to get to that next level. I feel so fortunate that the board put their faith in me to take it on to the next part of the journey.
Yeah.
The people who have been running it for such a long time have put in so much effort. And I think it's important for everybody to realise that this shift doesn't detract from everything that they've done at all.
Where do you want to go? What changes do you think you can bring? Can you talk about that?
I mean, I can, because I've only been in for a week. So...
Yeah. I jumped on this quickly.
Very quickly. I think for me, the big changes that I want to do is empowerment. Empower the people we have currently working for us, as well as empower more people to come forward to be able to help out and volunteer. I want those more viewpoints coming in. I want us to be able to reach out to the wider community as well. Racing Pride, we are very, very fortunate in the way that we've grown. We currently are partnered with half of the F1 grid. Yeah.
How incredible is that?
It is fantastic. And often I completely overlook that to a degree, in the sense that because I've been working for Aston Martin for 17 years, I kind of have a semi-jaded viewpoint on levels of this. But obviously from a Racing Pride perspective, it adds a level of gravitas to what it is that you're doing. Yeah, that is really important. Cool. It's really cool.
It's really cool.
Really cool. But we need to make sure that we don't forget about our roots. Through karting, through people like yourself in marshalling, through GT racing, through across the pond to America, across to Europe, in Australia, and different locations. We are very, again, fortunate that we have community members across the world.
Yeah.
We need to better facilitate supporting those people. So empowering people in the organisation to be able to drive those type of items, that's what I really want to try and be able to do. And then not forget what else that we work on, which is, at the end of the day, through race teams and through people in the industry, make them feel safe in their job. and in their career. Bringing in everybody to be able to be part of a great sport.
Anybody that may need some sort of inclusion hub like this, do you have any advice?
I think the biggest advice I can give anybody is be themselves. And this will be a semi-controversial, is make sure that you find your own family to be safe in. I think it's important to know that currently in society, it can be difficult.
Yeah.
So we need to have things like Racing Pride to better pass on education on why these things happen. I've had a level of this through my family where they haven't understood certain situations. And being able to come into a Racing Pride event and feel like you can be yourselves is so important. You start finding yourself. The amount of people that I speak to that almost feel like they've had a second birth when they find who those people are and can be themselves. The shift between somebody that might be very isolated and doing things themselves, having this, and then suddenly realizing, I can do all of these things. I can now go out with these people. I can be outgoing and have all these activities. So it's finding your people, I think, whatever that might be. And that's, I think, generally a good advice for everything. Is finding out who it is that you are, be that in an organization, do something that you're passionate about. That really drives everything. And that goes back to that school I went to a few years ago. Big thing that I said to them is find what you're passionate about. A career on what you're good at will likely exist in that area of passion for you.